and we return to Book 4 of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey, where we meet the king and queen of Sparta. Now, if you have yet to catch up to this point in the story, or have just stumbled across this video, then down in the description below is a link to a playlist where you can listen to the entire epic poem as it is being recorded. And if you would like a copy of the Odyssey with the Iliad attached, there is also an affiliate link where you can purchase a copy to follow along. Or if you want a more poetic version of the Odyssey, you can find that in the description below of the Fagles translation. But without further ado, I will begin with the Odyssey, but I must apologize for the sound of my voice and the length of time between the two videos that have been uploaded. I'm at the tail end of a cold, so you might still hear it in my voice, but it was rare. I do pick up every once in a while a secondary cold. It's just nature of the beast of working outside for a living. But without further ado, and no more stalling for time, we'll begin with the epic poem that is the Odyssey. The visit to King Menelaus, who tells his story, and meanwhile the suitors in Ithaca plot against Telemachus. So heeding the advice of Nestor, Telemachus begins his journey to Sparta, where he meets with Menelaus and Helen, who are living happily together and are hosting a wedding between Achilles' sons and their own daughter. Upon seeing Telemachus, Menelaus notices instantly that he is the son of Odysseus, but he decides to feign his ignorance. Unfortunately for him, however, Helen breaks this by telling Telemachus that he looks just like his father's son. Menelaus then recounts the tales of how he knows Odysseus is alive and well by not telling him the story of Odysseus, but instead, in true Spartan king fashion, tells him the story of how he himself returned home from Troy. And having been stranded on the island of Pharos, and unable to leave because he had offended the gods due to his insufficient sacrifice to he later learns both the fates of the other heroes of Troy and how to escape after he finds and wrestles the shape-shifting sea god Proteus. And only after pinning Proteus, he forces the info out. He tells that Agamemnon was murdered by his wife after bringing Cassandra home, and once again not listening to the prophetic warnings given by her. It's almost like a game in ancient Greece of how much can we ignore Cassandra's predictions, regardless of how accurate they always are. He tells him that Agamemnon was murdered, and if you would like to listen to this story, there's a great big book called the Orestes that you can take a listen to. I do plan to make a nice little video summary of that eventually. But we'll continue with the rest of the heroes, where Ajax the Lesser was being pummeled at sea by Pallas Athene for raping Cassandra in her temple during the sacking of Troy. He only perished because he had lost the favor of Poseidon, who had saved his life from Athena's wrath. But he quickly ended it when Ajax had dared to boast that he had survived the ocean's great abyss. Just goes to show, do not tempt the gods' fates, even after they have spared you. And finally, he gets to the information that Telemachus sought. Menelaus recants how Odysseus is trapped on Calypso's island despite longing for home. Telemachus is brought to tears by Menelaus and Helen's love for his father, and ends up telling them about the suitors in his house. And Menelaus, upon hearing this, tells Telemachus that he knows that his father is alive. And despite these reassuring words, back home in Ithaca, all is not well, as the suitors plot to ambush Telemachus' ship on return to assassinate him. Penelope learns of this plot and mourns for her son's upcoming death, as she is powerless to stop it. Pallas Athene sees this and sends the phantom of Penelope's sister to tell her that Athena is watching over her and Telemachus, but she reveals nothing about Odysseus' fate, nor about his whereabouts. And with that, Book 4 comes to a close. And if you are enjoying these summaries, then don't hesitate to give it a like and subscribe, and give me a comment on what I can do to improve. And if I look forward to seeing all of you next time, take care everyone.